Now, are you willing to make that decision today, or would you like somebody else to have that decision? Because like I said, we only have a certain amount of these that we can offer, and we're here because you were one of the original action takers to let us come in and share this with you. So I need you to make a decision today because I do have to talk to somebody else about this. What is up, guys? In this video, what I'm going to teach you is the one easy to remember formula that I've used over the last 13 years inside my sales career and how you can use it in your business. Now, a lot of you are probably paying attention to all these sales gurus online. They're teaching you to use these scripts and teaching you to close this way and that way. And I totally understand. A lot of those scripts work. Scripts are a great underlining factor for anytime you need to learn how to get used to selling. But when you're in your sales process, there's different parts of sales process. For those of you that are inside the Digital Expert, whether it's the Foundation program or the Elite program, you've seen me explain what it's like when you can go from being someone that doesn't know how to sell at all to becoming a master in sales. It's really not that difficult, okay? A lot of the times you just have to learn how to open the sale, you need to build rapport, you need to deliver the pitch, and then you need to close. Like, those are the 4 factors for most sales. When I first got started I didn't understand what sales really was. All I knew was I had a product that people really wanted, and I just found a way to get attention and sold it to them. And then eventually I started selling Cutco knives. For those of you that don't know what that is, I went through their entire sales process. And then eventually from there, a few years later, I ended up doing door-to-door sales. Because when you go to someone's house and you're knocking on their door and they open their door, you have like less than 30 seconds. It's actually, you have 3 to 5 seconds to get their attention. And then you have less than 30 seconds to hold that attention to be able to take them and turn them into a sale later on through the process. For those of you that know, I went through door-to-door sales. I almost got fired because it's a whole different process. And that whole story is for one of my other videos. And I'm sure there's a video right here that we're probably linking to you right now. And I want you to go watch that after you're done this, because I explained to you. I went 3 weeks at this place in my door-to-door career, and I almost got fired, to 3 weeks later being the #1 producer in my office, to 6 weeks later being the #1 producer in all of Canada. Fast forward for my door-to-door career, did really, really well. That did in-home sales, and I went from selling, a couple $100 packages at the door to selling $13,000 packages in home. And I used this exact theory that I learned from my door-to-door career in my in-home selling to now I use it in my digital selling. And every single time I'm on a call with a client or I'm on a call with a potential coaching person, I'm using this exact flow. And it's so easy that we've created an acronym, and I've taught it at plenty of different masterminds. Maybe we'll put a clip over here of a mastermind that I did in Vancouver in 2016 or 2017. And I taught this to a group of 40 to 50 people over a few hours, going a lot deeper than I'm gonna go into this video. And it transformed businesses to a point where people are using it and they're making millions just from understanding how to do this. The easy formula that I've built out is what I like to call Fuji. Okay, now you're like, what does Fuji even mean? Fuji is just a 4-part process once you've gone through the entire sale. So you've opened your client, you've kind of got their attention, then you've built a rapport. Once you've built the rapport with them, the next thing you need to do is you need to present your sale. So once you're presenting your sale, presenting your offer, your service, at that point in time, you go to what people like to call the out there term of like, you got to be a closer. I'm the online closer today. That's a big thing. I'm the high ticket closer. It's like, no one really closes, because at the end of the day, when you're actually closing someone, you're actually opening them to another factor of doing business with you. So the relationship actually starts once you close them. When you want to close someone, you got to understand there's a reason to why they want to be working with you. So the first part of the Fuji formula is fear of loss. This entire process, you can use this throughout any part of your sales script. It doesn't have to be only the end to tail part of your sales script. You can use it throughout the beginning, throughout the rapport. I use a lot of this. I even use a lot of this when I open sales. Like when I get to Jay, I'm going to explain to you how I use it when I open sales. One thing you got to understand is fear of loss comes from the aspect of people are going to make a decision based on the loss that they're going to gain. Okay, you got to understand, are they going to lose something bigger right now by not buying your service or by not buying your product? That's how you're going to go out of fear of loss. So when I'm using fear of loss to close someone, it's like, totally understand, sir, ma'am, this may not be for you. However, I want you to understand we only have a limited amount of quantity of these. And what I want you to know is that I may leave today. You may need the time to make a decision. I just don't want you to lose out on something that could potentially change your life. Let me give you a perfect example here. So that exact wording that I used was what I would use when I was selling in-home packages. Okay, so I was selling educational packages to families. We were only able to sell a certain amount. So when I say limited amount, don't be like that scammy asshole that's literally out there telling people they have a limited amount, but you could sell them as many as you want, because that shit doesn't, like in sales, you look like a douchebag. But what I want you to understand is if you actually have a limited amount. So when we were selling our educational packages, we only had a limited amount of these softwares that we could sell per district. And the reason being is because we had tutors in the back end of it, so we had a lot of fulfillment going on. So I'd be sitting there, I'd go through the entire sales process, 60 to 90 minute sales process, and at the end of it, we're asking for a lot of money. It was somewhere between $6,000 and $13,000 that they had to part with. And at that point in time, it's like, if I saw a family that could really use the product, I knew that I had to use fear of loss on them. And I didn't mean to use fear of loss on them just because I wanted to close them, but I knew it was gonna make a big difference in their life, in their children's life. A lot of the times I'd be like, I understand, mom and dad, like, this is a big decision for you. You gotta part with $13,000 of your hard-earned money. But let me ask you a question. Is $13,000 today a lot of money in comparison to having your kids actually get through school and actually get straight A's so they can get to where you want them to be, end up in university, end up in college? Is $13,000 today really that big of a loss for you? Or is it a long-term gain that's an investment in your kid's future? And like, that's exactly how I would pitch it. And now when you say that to a client and you understand your prospect, you gotta understand how your prospect's thinking, because when you're selling them, you want to be in their head, okay? Sales and marketing is just the conversation that's going on inside your clients and prospective's head, and what are they thinking about, and answering those questions before they can even give you an objection to be able to, for you to just sit there having to deal with it. That's literally how I do it. A lot of the times when you're asking for high ticket amounts, the price is not an issue. It's what are they thinking about and how you can get them to use that to their advantage, okay? That's fear of loss. And that's a very, very simple version of it. I break this down in crazy depth inside of the Digital Expert Elite program. I literally do one video per one of these inside of it, so you can show you exactly how you can use it. Now, the next one is urgency. Speaking of urgency, it's a time limit, okay? It's a very, very, very short amount of time. So it's like I totally understand. Let's say use the same example again of when we were selling the $6,000 to $13,000 packages. Sure, mom and dad, I totally understand that, $6,000 to $13,000 is a lot of money for you to use. However, let me ask you a question. You've already gone through your kids, like, let's say I'm talking to a family, I'm gonna kind of set this up a little bit better. Let's say I'm talking to a family that's, their kid's in grade 8. They've only got another 4 to 5 years left in school because they've already spent from kindergarten to grade 8 and they're kind of not doing the best. Be like, mom and dad, I totally understand. $6,000 to $13,000 is a lot of money for you to part with today. However, let me ask you a question. Your child has already gone from grade 1 or kindergarten to grade 8. You've really only got another 4 years left. That's a lot of time. That's not a lot of time for you to have to invest in your kids so that they can have the future that they deserve. That's not a lot of time for you to invest that they can have the future that you brought them onto this planet to have. Now, are you willing to make that decision today, or would you like somebody else, maybe your friends or your family members, to have that decision? Because like I said, we only have a certain amount of these that we can offer in any given state or in any given district. And we're here because you were one of the original action takers to let us come in and share this with you. But if I totally understand that if this isn't for you, because I only can be here for a certain amount of time. So I need you to make a decision today, because I do have to talk to somebody else about this. Like, look at how powerful that close was, because I hit fear of loss in there and I hit urgency in there, because I told them, number one, they only have a certain amount of time. It's urgent. They have to make a decision today. They have to make a decision in the next week. Whatever the term is, the urgency of your lead, the urgency of your decision making is going to help you decide on how you get them to close. Now, you can take urgency and break it down with time limits. You can do urgency, in marketing, we're using tickers on top of our funnels and everything else. That's pushing urgency. And you got to understand that you can use these tactics in any given scenario. The next one that I'm going to go and talk about is called Jones effect. And Jones effect pretty much means when I used to use, this was the one that I used in door-to-door all the time. So a perfect example for you guys, and this is an insane Jones effect. So I taught this to a friend of mine about 5 or 6 years ago. He was opening a fencing business. Okay, well, what you're gonna do is you're gonna find a street that's got, 30, 40 houses or whatever it was at the time. You're gonna start at the end of the street and you're gonna go to the neighbor and you're gonna say, I'm gonna fence your whole house for free, but I want you to give me a referral and introduce me to your next door neighbor. Okay, if you understand marketing, that's what we call like a self-liquidating offer, a lead magnet, or in any different realms. You're gonna go to this person's house for free. You're gonna set them up, and you're gonna say, listen, all I ask in exchange is that I can put a sign in your lawn, number one, and two, that you give me your neighbor's info and then make me an intro. What he did there, after what I showed him how to use Jones effect, was, let's say it was like Bob was the neighbor that they started with. So you go knock on the next door neighbor is Susie. hey Susie, I totally understand. I'm caught you off guard, but listen, I'm just working on Bob's house next door. And if you just kind of paid attention over the last day and a bit, we've put a fence around his house, and he did a really good job at fencing his entire house. Now, one good thing for you is he fenced the side that is facing, that sits on your side of your house. Now, you have half a fence that's done. I want to ask you, if I give you a deal like I gave to Bob, are you open to using that deal to be able to fence the rest of your house? That's a Jones effect. Bob just did it. He did it for you because he did half of your house for you. And then on the other end, now you just said, if I give you the same deal as Bob, are you willing to do it? Now, they don't know what the deal was for Bob. You just use that as a lead magnet to get them into your business. Now, all he did was he used an entire street. So think about this, for example, right? You've got houses here, houses here, houses here, houses here. He fenced this one house. Now this one house has got a fence. Now this one doesn't have a fence. He got this deal. He did the exact same thing. Got this deal. Did the exact same thing. Got this deal. Did the exact same thing. Got this deal. Now think about that was Jones effect, all because he used Bob to Susie to Joe to Dom to I don't even know Mary, and that was Jones effect in one street. And we did this entire breakdown at the end of it in one street using this. And this is how he launched his fencing company. And by the time he was done, it took him 2 weeks to finish the whole street. And by the time he was done, he'd done $40,000 in net revenue just by using Jones effect. Think about it for you, for example. Your friends or your family may have gone and bought something, may have gone and bought a car, may have gone and bought a watch, may have gone and bought a piece of clothing, and you're like, damn, that looks so sick, those shoes look so sick, I wanna go get them. You just got Jones affected because they got it, you felt like you missed out, there was also fear of loss in there subconsciously, and because they did it, it made the justification a lot easier for you to go out and get it as well. So you just literally use Jones effect to get sold on something. We do it on a daily basis. I do it all the time. I see my brother getting something. I see my friends getting something. And I'm like, that's sick. I want it. And I just go buy it. Why? Because it didn't take a lot of sales process. It literally just took someone like an indirect referral to be able to get it. Okay. In today's day and age, social media is Jones effect. When you're scrolling through Instagram, you're just getting Jones affected the whole time because Kylie Jenner's got this and Kim Kardashian's got this and so that you follow has got this and you want what they have and you're just getting sold based on Jones effect. That is the biggest one. The last one, in my opinion, is my favorite, and this one is called indifference. Now, indifference is one that once you master indifference, it doesn't really matter if you use these or you don't, but if you can master indifference and then start using these as you go into the entire play of your sales process, into your conversation, you will become an absolute king at closing, okay? So let's use this for a perfect example. Now, in today's day and age, one of my companies at GrowRev.com, we do paid advertising for medium to large businesses, and our average ticket package is on the low end about $7,500 to $10,000 a month. It's a lot of money for businesses to be partnering with, but I also know that our delivery and our results that we get at GrowRev for our clients is impeccable, okay? We know that we can outbeat any other agency out there as long as they've got a good offer and as long as they listen to what we're gonna have them do. If I'm on a sales call, okay, like I've got a couple sales calls, I think we've done a few recordings for some vlogs, for some sales calls, maybe you can put them up here and watch those videos after. But if I'm on a sales call and a client's saying, oh, I gotta think about it, it's like, totally understand, you gotta think about it. Now, at the end of the day, there's a reason to why we jumped on a call. There's a reason to why you chose to jump on and talk to us at GrowRev versus, X agency or Y agency. Now, I don't really care how we go about this. We've got the results, we've got the backing, but I just want you to know one thing. Whether we do business or we don't, I want us to leave being friends. And at the end of the day, I just need you to make a decision because I don't want to pull you across the line. I don't want to force you across the line to have you make a decision because that's not how we do business here. But at the end of the day, you got to understand one thing. Whether you do business with us or you don't, you're going to lose out on one of two things. One, you're going to lose out on time because you're going to think about it and your business is going to take a lot longer to get the results by working with GrowRev. Or two, you're going to lose money. You may save a little bit of money not working with us. We may go hire another agency. That's totally okay, and I understand that, but they may not get you the results. You may get frustrated with them, but then eventually you're gonna come back, and now you're like 2 steps back. But all I want you to do is I want you to make a decision. I just played complete indifference. I just painted 2 pictures for them, playing indifference, playing fear of loss, and urgency all at the same time. I said, I don't care, okay? A lot of times indifference is you do not need to care what the end outcome is. If you can have that physical ability and the mental ability so you can state that in your sales calls, you will close 99% of the time. Like 99% of the time, you will close. As long as the lead's qualified, 100%. Any single time that I've taught this exact process, I got friends that are in car sales smashing it because they use this exact process of how I've been able to master this through sales in door-to-door, in-home sales and everything else. You master this, okay? When I'm selling through Indifference, like I just broke this down for you in one little statement. I said, I don't care if we work together, but at the end of the day, you gotta understand one of two things is gonna happen. You're gonna waste time or money. And what are the two things that most people cannot replace in business? Time and money. Because time is worth more than money is. And if they lose the money, now they've lost the time and the money, and now they've got to come back and potentially hire us and pay more money, and now they're 2 steps behind. As long as you can paste that idea, paste that in people's heads, you can understand that they're going to make a very, very informed decision. Once you master this, guys, fear of loss, urgency, Jones effect, and indifference. Once you master this in your business, there's no sales process, there's nothing that you cannot not do that you're not going to be able to close, that you're not going to be able to open a client to come work with you and take your selling to a whole nother level. At the end of the day, I'm giving you this free content on YouTube for you to implement into your business. Now, if you got a ton of value out of this video, or even a little bit of value out of this video, I want to invite you to help me in a way. Help me in a way where it's like I can share this with more people that can use this data or use this information. And what I want you to do is I want you to do a few things for me. Number one, leave me a comment, because if you can leave me a comment on what you learned, I can actually take it and people that come back to the video, they can actually take it and learn and see why they need to watch this video. Number two, it gives me some insight on what else I need to give to you. Okay, that's one thing. Number two, give this video a thumbs up, because if you give this video a thumbs up, it's gonna help the YouTube algorithm show this video to more people like yourself. And number three, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Because for those of you that are seeing me for the first time, I want you to come back and see a ton more epic content that I'm going to be putting out for you. So I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Go ahead and use this in your business, because this is the one thing that'll transform your sales career.